Well, I'm back to making videos, I guess, if this comes out okay. So, sorry, I can't resist. I have been hard at work, hardly working. And I thought maybe if I demonstrated what my technology can do, not this is just OBS, just mirroring itself. But I thought maybe if I showed people what I can do with my web technology, then maybe I can get a job, because that's what I'm trying to do, is get a job. I wish someone would give me some sort of way to earn income doing this stuff that I really enjoy doing and that I'm pretty good at. So if you're hiring web developers or software developers in general, um, yeah, I do some pretty cool stuff. So I guess we'll just start showing you that stuff. Let's see. Let's start with the big one. This here. This is fun. This is Moose. Moose stands for My Ontology Operating System Environment. Moose runs in a web browser. This is not a local web file. This is a live server on Vercel.app. This is a completely 3D environment, and as you might notice, yes, it is a little bit janky, but that's because I'm recording right now. And because it currently is running like 8, I think, separate instances of web browsers inside of the 3D environment. Now, they are not particularly well arranged, and my control schema leaves a little bit to be desired. And because I'm using my renderer for both recording and doing stuff, it's not exactly the easiest demo in the world here, and it doesn't look super smooth, but I assure you it is actually pretty smooth at the end of the day when I'm not recording and running 16 open windows and doing everything else that I'm doing. But in order to demo quickly for you guys, I wanted to be able to show you all the different things that I have. So, as you can see, each one of these things is a web page, right? They are all my web pages. These are different web pages that I have put up on Vercel or on GitHub pages. If I click them, look, they work. I can click on things work. I can go to links. That being said, I haven't put a back button on any of them yet, so once we're in there, we're in there. But I could, I can add a back button. Now that one was a link to this page, so we can click on something else. You can see, like, oh, I click on this and then I go to this other page. They're really just demo pages, right? Like, they have content, but the content's not important right now. I just want to show you that all of these sites with all of their different embedded functions work exactly like a normal web browser would work, right? Look, this one has links in it to other web browsers. Okay, I can go like this and I can click onto any one of these. Now, granted, they don't work perfectly because they're not meant to run inside of a browser. But like, yeah, so how do I explain what Moose is? Moose itself has nothing to do with these web pages, right? I'm just using this to demonstrate that Moose itself can be used to host a 3D space on the internet. And it can be done so pretty easily overall. This is our little buddy. This is MooseBot. He is not my original creation. He's just a little animated dude that I stuck in there and called him MooseBot because eventually I will have my own custom animated little character. Now the really interesting part is, like, if we come down here and we click on our Center Hub console, I can do things like this. I can make this a little bit more readable. I can do things like, and you can see there's rendering issues and stuff still. Like, I'm not lying. I'm not saying it's not buggy, but for one guy to have built this in like 2 weeks is pretty impressive, I think, personally. See, you notice there were screens, right? So now if we go to screens, we can see I can put in any website, almost any website, by simply doing add a screen. Now, Google, you would think, would be the first one to add. As it turns out, Google has a personal policy against adding things to iframes inside of other websites. So instead, we'll use backup. Good old Wikipedia. My typing skills leave a little bit to be desired, I'm sure you are aware. We do Wikipedia, and then I say apply and close, and you will see somewhere's over here, probably right up above him, there is a new page. It added in. Now, I haven't finished setting up all the configs for it yet, but this is clearly Wikipedia, right? Like, it's not, I'm not copying Wikipedia. This is a live feed to the Wikipedia page, just like if you loaded it in your browser. Now, these are all headless browsers, so there's no back button, there's no address bar. I probably could have made the iframe display a full browser head, like what you see up here. Like, you don't have this stuff, right? Like, it's not there, because it's not meant to be there. It's meant to be a quick little display, and you can play around with it and stuff. Like, eventually, maybe I add all of that functionality to it, too. I don't know yet. You can go up in here, you can type in, like, hello, and look at that. All the live stuff comes right up. We got hello, Hello Kitty, Hello Dolly, hello, the Adele song, doesn't matter, Hello Neighbor, the video game, Helloween, the awesome German metal power band, they are so good. Get on here, we have all of our normal, functionality of Wikipedia. This is just what you would see if you went to wikipedia.org and you wanted to click on things, and it shows you all the different things you can get, Wikipedia, everything, right? We are able to put that screen up because we entered it into our cool little hub, right? The little pink guy. That's the little pink blob behind our moose bot. Doors. Doors are interesting. Doors are a pure link to a website. That's all they do. Sorry again about these little things being rendered. Let's make them all go away, shall we? We'll hide them for now. Bloop, bloop. There's my Wikipedia one. That should go away. Bloop. We'll just hide all the screens for now, so you guys don't even have to look at them or see them or anything. Bloop. Bloop. Screen's all gone. But where did they go, Zach? It's okay, they're still there. They're just hidden. Alright, so now you can see there's some, if slightly janky looking, some doors, right? So what do the doors do? Well, okay, let's go find out. Oh, I forgot one. Let's go find out what the doors do. Hi, look at this door. What do we do with a door, right? Well, what's the first thing somebody's going to do when they come over to it? They're going to look at it and they're going to go, okay, it's a door. And then maybe they're going to click on it. Oh, what happened? That door happens to bring you to one of my apps, the 3D Atom Visualizer. Yes, this is an app I wrote. Yes, it does visualize molecules. Yes, it does use foreign databases to be able to predict what a molecule would look like and how the electrons interact. And it uses both the Bohr and quantum models. That's right. I'm really smart, guys. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying it to get a goddamn job. Because I really need a job. So, like, if you know anybody that needs some, like, atomic data model, here's some. Just saying. I can do that. And the doors, I can actually I can just close back out of them and go back into Moose. So we already know that one works. And I believe all these things still work right now. I don't think I have anything turned off. So click on another one. You can see another one of my apps. This one's kind of fun. So this one just takes a text file, right? And it literally just it takes every letter out of the text file and it turns it into a weird shape. I'll give you a quick demo and you can move on. We'll go with my favorite, which is the recursive knot. Arrangement, it can be a torus cloud. Wait, we don't want recursive. Now let's do icosahedrons for the shape of each thing. And a torus Klein knot. We'll turn our spacing way down. Our animation speed way up. This is just a fuck around and find out app. This is what I do. I fuck around, I find out. Upload our data file, pick any document, doesn't matter what. I said it doesn't matter what. text document. Let's just do this. That'll work. Look at that. And it loads it into this. Ta-da, ta-da. And it makes cool 3D shapes that do stuff. That's its whole purpose. I can stretch it out. I can make it different shapes. I can make other different shapes. I can make really, really different shapes. It's over 100 combinations with just these 10 parameters, and I've made a better version that has 100 parameters on each, which leads to 10,000 possible combinations. Nifty, huh? Anyway, cool. So like, yeah, and the idea is that this, for like somebody that's a developer, or even somebody that just has a lot of like social pages that they want to be able to access quickly, you could have a single central web page that lets you kind of basically use the internet browser like an operating system. The whole thing. Doesn't matter, because everything's configurable. Back over here, if we don't want to look at any of our doors anymore, we can just close the doors and they go away. See? Click, 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 click. No more doors. They're all gone. Bye, doors. Okay, we apply and close. And look at that. Now I've just got this big empty space. Well, what could I do with this big empty space, Zach? I don't know. Whatever you want, basically. It's a 3D environment. This is the bare bones Moose page. This is what exists. It's MooseBot, your screens, your doors, objects, which if I do something like upload model, I think I have a couple of GLBs in here. We'll try that one. It's probably way too big. Or it's a giant goddamn bee. Ah! So, yeah, you can do a lot with these, with a Moose page. That's my point. You see, it's not just a basic web page. It's kind of bleeding edge technology. It's kind of past bleeding edge technology. It's so far past bleeding edge that it's already been bandaged. Yeah. I don't know. I just thought maybe, just maybe, that people might actually like find the value in this and say, hey, wow, that Zach guy can program, we should fucking hire him. That's the goal. He's a Bluebee. Hi, Bluebee. You may wonder why Zach doesn't sound like he takes things more seriously. It's not because I'm not taking it seriously. I seriously want a job. The problem is that working with AI and web tech and everything else that I've been working with, I'm pretty sure it's driven me insane. So, like, if you're afraid of insane people, then don't hire me. But, you know, if you want somebody that uses their insanity to benefit, that likes hanging out with big blue bees and little robots and stuff, then yeah, I might be your type of developer. So, like, it's not really, like, I don't know how to explain this to you guys. Like, I need a job. Like, don't like kind of need a job. It's not like, oh, I've got a job and I'm looking for a job. I've been out of work for 6 months. Why is it that a developer that can develop this website that looks like this can be out of work for 6 months? Can you answer me that? Because I can't answer me that. I don't know. I don't know why. Because I lack a resume? That seems like a stupid reason. When I say I lack a resume, yeah. I taught myself this. I didn't go to college for this. I just said, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to learn how to program stuff. And then I did. I'm only able to do that because I've developed kind of a specific system that works really well for developing these web pages, and it involves me utilizing artificial intelligence to be able to like pursue the knowledge to learn how to do this very, very rapidly. And I can really teach anybody how to do that. That's probably a bigger selling point as to why someone might want to hire me, is because at any given point, I can create anything I want because of the way that I think about creating things. It's a method, and it's not so much that I'm the be-all, end-all of programming. Be-all, end-all, get it? It's that I use my method as a way to break problems apart into smaller and smaller problems. You know when you go into a library and you got like the Dewey Decimal System, and you go, well, I don't know where to find this book, but I know that there's 10 categories, so I can look and figure out maybe in one of those 10 categories makes sense for my book to be there. If it's a book on philosophy, guess where it is? It's in the philosophy section, right? Well, okay, now how do I determine, well, it's the philosophy of Carl Jung. Okay, well, We've got to figure out what type of philosophy it is. We go through, we search it by author, by subject, or whatever. But it lets you break that problem of how do I find a spot for this book down into smaller and smaller parts, right? I have my own knowledge system, my own ontology that's custom, that allows me to do the same thing with programming. It allows me to take a function or any sort of a file, basically, and map its ontological location into a very specific divided category. And it's recursive, the same way that the Dewey Decimal System is, where it self-searches. And it is fractal, the way that the Dewey Decimal System is, as in, it does not ever really stop self-sorting. It's a little rough around the edges at times, just like the Dewey Decimal System, where like maybe there's a gap in the knowledge. But that's not a bad thing when you're talking about a system that sorts things that could potentially be undiscovered. You kind of need some blank space in there, you know? So like, just to give you an example of this page, the one that I just altered, and you might be wondering, well, oh my god, he just got rid of all of his stuff. Look, I'll just refresh it. It's fine. Bye, B. Bye, hello again. All my screens, they're all back. Isn't that nice? That all evolved from this page, which is the original. I was kind of thinking of it more like a game or a dungeon or something. That page evolved from other pages, like this one, where same concept. Click an object, go to a different web page. Click a different object, go to a different web page. Do you see how that might be useful? Because I do. Like, I very much do. That was a very early version of my editor. The big movie screen, I actually like that. I might become a cinema. But there is not really an end to what can be done with this. This is done with pretty common web tech. There's a library called 3.js that I use, and the renderer is WebGL. Those are super, super common 3D web environment like things that most web designers use pretty sparingly. I kind of took the opposite approach to it. 3JS uses GLB files. GLB files are interesting because they're a combination of a binary data file with JSON data as a header, which means that you can insert additional data. Well, when you can give your 3D object context in the form of data inserted into its header, you can give that object a sense of itself. It means that the object knows that it is that object. It knows what it does, generally speaking. It knows how it does it, and it knows how it interacts with other objects in the scene. You can do all this very programmatically, and I very specifically made this program, the Myos 3D Integrated Development Environment, just so that I could create and monitor my pages. So like up here, if we were to, let's say, we'll just make like a simple, I don't know, cube box. Yeah, here's a box. See, it's a box, right? My idea is, and I haven't gotten there yet, but eventually we'll be able to play around with the box. You can do some cool stuff like twist the box, whatever. You can, typical 3D web modulator stuff, right? Like we can move it around. And eventually I'm going to be able to take this, and I'm just going to be able to drag it into the scene I want to drag it in, and then redeploy back to Vercel, or to whatever hosting service that a user wants to use. Ultimately, my goal is for anybody to be able to go to my GitHub page, download a copy of the Moose environment, and then they can make their own Moose page very, very quickly. It's not really that hard to deploy a web page to Vercel. If you download the exact copy of Moose that's out right now, that's sort of a prototype copy, and then just go to Vercel and sign up for Vercel. As long as you have a GitHub page or GitHub account and a Vercel account, you can create as many of these pages as you want, essentially. I think Vercel lets you have up to 200 live pages or something. And that's not to mention like each page itself. I'm hosting each page on a separate server or a separate virtual server, like a VM. if I was to add individual pages to each of these, like each of these runs on a single HTML page. If I was to add, I think the file limit on Vercel for each server is about 2,000 files. So in theory, with one single server, I could have 2,000 of these pages, and I can have 200 of those servers, all for free. It doesn't cost a dime. It's only if you really want to use beyond your typical usage limit that it would cost you any money to do this. So like, I'm piggybacking existing services to create all of this brand new technology. This is not something that's never been done. It's just something that's never been done the way I'm doing it. It's fun too because like I can come down in here and there's that font explorer again. We've got our data visualizer, the file explorer. It's not exactly typical for a web page to be able to access your local files, and that's usually good because you have security issues. But when you use something like a web worker like this, and let's say I wanted to examine everything about my my system that I've got going on here. So let's say that I'm in here and I go to my website or something. We'll do this for now because I don't think there's too much in there. Oh, upload 7,000 files. That seems like a lot. Huh. Pretty quick, huh? Yeah, it is. Because it's not uploading the content of the files in this case. What it's doing is uploading the structure of the directories and the files. So you can see all these dots, these big sphere-y dots, right? Those are the directories. Those are your folders in Windows, right? Come down here. Right now it's just set to whatever shape. It's all set to random, but these represent the files in my system. Now they don't contain everything that the file contains because that would be insane to upload 7,000 files to the website. But what they do contain is some kind of objective indexing data. It knows what directory it's in, it knows the path to get to that directory, it knows the total file size, and for the directories, it knows the number of files contained inside of those directories. Why is that helpful, Zach? Ask any system administrator if this is helpful. Because what you're looking at is the visual of like a file system. It's just displayed in a funky way. That's all. It's interesting to be able to see a whole file system in one go. We can stretch it way out. We can make the files stretch way out away from their nodes. I can make the directory system stretch way out away from their nodes. It's really convenient to be able to traverse your file system in 3D because you can see how things connect. It's important to be able to see how things connect in network administration. At least I think it is. Maybe I'm stupid. I don't think I am. I wrote all these things, so I'm probably right. You can go to other things. Here's our hyperlink browser. This is a fun one. Let's see, if we were going to go to something like, again, we'll use Wikipedia again because that's a good one. Wikipedia.org. And I'll go over here and we'll click go. This does something a little bit different. This displays all the hyperlinks on a page. So when we went to that wikipedia.org before, this is every link that's been on that page. Why is that useful? Well, on its own, it's not. But if I click this link, that's every link that's on that link. Like if I traversed that link, I would find all these links. If I traversed that link, I would find all these links. If I traversed this link, all those links. And so on and so forth. And I can just keep going until I run out of links or I hit something that's like an API that doesn't actually have any links on it. How could that be useful? Well, think about it for a minute. There it is. Yes, it would be very useful for a network administrator from someplace like Google, even, to be able to look and quickly realize what their network actually looks like. It's not. And like, just because I set it up this way in this particular geometric pattern doesn't mean it couldn't be altered. It could be a much more tree-like structure. It could be any sort of shape it needs to be. Back to the Atom Visualizer. This is another, that's the one we showed you earlier. We've got the page editor that allows for the direct live editing of a page. I have a couple of versions. I had a couple of versions saved. But what we can do is, let's say if I wanted to not use these shapes, and instead I would rather use If I would rather use some other shape, let's try, oh, buggies. Unfortunately, my editor is still very buggy and I have not finished fixing it yet. Hopefully, I can see it well enough to actually do this. It's very small on my screen right now, and I'm hoping that it still points to the correct repo. It may not. Might not work. I don't know. But if we go over here and we go update preview, let's see what happens when I turn in the scene. Hey, look at that. It updated it. Now it's one of my doors. It's not that goofy, weird alchemist symbol anymore. Now it's a door. Do you see how a live page editor might be really useful to a developer? I do. If I continue, what's next? We do have my blog. That's easy. That's just a blog. It's simple. And we have what is my ontology. My ontology specifically is the set of rules that allow this sort of development to occur. I won't get into the specifics of that. Honestly, it's just a knowledge system. It's no different than something like SCAS, OWL, the Dewey Decimal System, Dublin Core. It's just a very specific and tidy system that is still being developed. But right now it works pretty good, so I kind of don't really want to mess with it too much. And then there's the IDE itself. That's right. This IDE can display its own web page, its own content, right, including the nested pages down here, as separately nested content. Sort of how, like, when we started the video, OBS was nesting its own imagery. And I can continue to I can go right through here if I want to, and you can see all the same apps we just looked at. They all work fine. If I do the IDE again, it gets a little weird. I don't know if there's some sort of a depth issue or if I set a specific set of qualia that told it to not do that. But easy. You just go back out of it, and then it's gone. So like I said, you can see how that might be really handy for a developer. Everything all in one place. Eventually we're going to have, like over here, if we open up our box, we can see, boy, oh boy, that's tough to see. I'll zoom in just a little bit for you. So you can see we've got additional data over here that is like our modifiers and stuff. All of this data gets saved back into the GLB file as part of the header. So if we do something like twist this box up and then we save it, it's no longer just box. Now it's whatever we save it as. It's some file, .glb, and it contains all that information about how we twisted it. And it means that we can then take that twisted box and then we can load it into another program that uses GLB files, and then we can just untwist it if we want, or we can do whatever to it. We can scale it up, scale it down, etc. Like, we can do just anything that any 3D design studio can do, basically. Like, to think of it like Blender, but on the web, freely accessible. Anybody can go to any of my pages that you see and play around with them, use them, and it does not, you won't break anything because they just reset to their standard form. What I'm working on is the ability for everybody to have their own version of these types of pages. And what I mean by that is, by not making it so that you have to log in each time, rather than log in, what you would do is you'd come in, you'd work on the page, and you would start building something. And then you would say, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna export my project. And you click on it. And of course it's gonna be difficult. But you would be able to, save project, was that the right one? Well, again, buggies, but you can see, like, you can save the scene, which is this area, as a GLB. After saving it, you can then turn around and you can do a new project or something, that's fine. Yeah, don't worry about it, just a new project. Yes, I very much do. We already saved our scene. Do not want to do that. As for our font files, import GLB. I'll try and show you that way because I can't seem to any other way. So if we import the MyOS scene, so now you can see it's kind of funky and it's wrapped up with our other shape. But if I just get rid of our other shape here, go like this, bloop, you can see this kind of weird, funky sword type shape that I made the other day. Something like out of Final Fantasy. So you start to see where the development applications come into this. Like now we've got this cool sword thing, and maybe we've got a character like in our other page with our robot on it. Maybe we want to give the robot a sword. We could do that. Now I can't do it yet, but I'm on my way to being able to do it. And it's not because I'm not putting the effort in, it's because there's so much to this and so many things that I want to do that, like, putting a sword in a robot's hand isn't really priority, right? Like, I'm writing all of these pages over the course of about, I think we started the first page, and I say we, I started the first page about 2 months ago maybe, and it was a pretty simple web page. It was not anything crazy. And as I continued to learn about new technologies, I just kept implementing new technologies. It was that simple. And so now we have the ability to basically do whatever we want. It's a fully operable integrated development environment. And all of that just leads to Moose, our Moose pages, and MooseBot, my buddy, as like a conceptual sort of blank slate. It's sort of boilerplate, robot butt. Because of the way that the hub is set up, you can essentially, without any code, configure a web page that has a 3D environment. You can import different screens to see other web pages. You can add doors that lead to other web pages. If you don't want us to look at the screen, you can do something like that. Like if I go to doors and I do add door, and we do of course I don't know which door that is. I got too many doors. Let's get rid of all the doors except for that one. Just to show you that it works. Alright, door, where are you? Oh, there it is. Now what's interesting is when it brings in a new door, it doesn't always put it in exactly where you'd think it would. So this door just sort of exists. It's just sort of floating. Anybody a fan of Doctor Who? It's sort of like it's bigger on the inside. Click that. Oh no. Oh no. 404. That's not the right page. That's weird. I wonder why I did that. Bad demo. Well, like I said, things are buggy. But working on this, I would think anybody that has any sense of how difficult the development can be for things like 3D environments, they should probably realize that, again, like I started this particular page a little less than a week ago. Before that, it was a totally different page, and I kind of evolved the pages. So it might be a total of 2 weeks from start to finish for the concept of a 3D web environment to finishing it. That's very hire worthy. So if you happen to run a software company and you see this video and you are like, wow, this guy's not as much of an asshole as he sounds like, you should get a hold of me. It's pretty straightforward. I'm Zach DeGarmo on everything. ZAKDEGARMO at gmail.com. I'm at GitHub. I'm at Vercel. Just get a hold of me. I really need work. I need to be able to direct this sort of creativity someplace. And if I can direct this creativity someplace, then I'm gonna have to take over the world or something. I don't know, because I don't want this to go to waste. I clearly have some sort of artistic and creative talent for making web pages, making web apps that do different things. And because less than 6 months ago, I didn't know how to program anything. 6 months ago, I was still recovering from an injury at my job that I had being a concrete precaster. Before that, I was a line cook for 20 years. So programming itself is new to me. The fact that I'm able to pick it up this quickly, to me, dictates that I have a natural talent for it. And I would really hate for you to let that natural talent go to waste. So I'm just going to say it one more time and then I'm going to end the video. Hire me. Please hire me. I am available. I'm not only available, I'm super available. I'm actively seeking a job. If you think you can find somebody that can do this better than me, please introduce me to them so that I can pick their brain. Alright. Yeah, I guess that's the end of my video, so we'll cut out there, I guess. I don't think there's anything else really to tell you guys. We'll end it the same way we started.